Sencha is an omni-channel. It's a content hub, basically, for any kind of content. So I'm going to show you a presentation today that is based around kind of print publishing, so the Cosmopolitan case. But they have many different channels of output to contact with their customers and get their customers engaged with what they're supplying to them. So although you may see particular print functionality, please just remember that, of course, anything can be an asset in the censhare world. Any kind of metadata can be created, and any kind of relationships can be created. So if you can just bear that in mind while you watch the presentation, then that'll take you a long way. So the first thing I want to say, I hope everyone can see my screen. Censhare obviously is a digital asset management system at its core, based on an Oracle database with different clients that connect and talk to the assets that are contained within Censhare. So one of the clients that we have is this HTML5 client. Now, any kind of HTML5 compatible browser can be used, and depending on your username and your login, will depend on what access you can see to the system. So I'm logging in here as a planning user. Now, if you kind of think what a planning user does, they're looking at what's going on in the production process, they're trying to plan different campaigns maybe, they're managing their brands, they're outputting to different channels and so on. So I'm going to log in here as this planning user. Of course, Sencha can interact with your Active Directory systems or LDAP. So you can have kind of a single sign-on almost. So let's click on, and now, just move this little panel out of the way. There we go. This is the home screen for this planning user. And what you can see in front of you is basically different little screens, which we call widgets in Sencha, containing assets. Now, the concept of assets in Sencha is that anything can be an asset, as we said before. So we have some different types of assets displayed in these different widgets. So first of all, we have tasks. So there is a robust workflow engine at the back of Sencha that allows you to assign tasks or task assets or actual assets themselves to particular users. So you can see here that this particular planning user has a subject assigned to her and a marketing plan. And we'll look at those in a little bit of time. She also has, for example, subjects. You could be very abstract with your asset choice. I mean, a lot of different companies have different asset setups. So here, for example, for Cosmopolitan, they have different subjects. So Fashion Week, you know, when the BAFTAs are, when the Golden Globes, etc. Issues. Now, from the print perspective, an issue is a flat plan which contains all the pages that people might flick through in the magazine. Here we have, again, it's kind of a view on assets, but this time we're looking at the status of different asset types inside the current Cosmopolitan issue, or rather the February issue 2018. And down here, we're also seeing assets in a format, if you like, because we're seeing actual KPI information. And in this instance, this might be a feed from your ERP system, but here we can see the sales figures of the different titles. And when I click on a line, I can see the different title that it refers to. So that's for Elle, that's for Harper's Bazaar, and that's for Cosmopolitan. So because I have all my assets in one place, centralized inside Sencha, with all the right relationships in between those assets, I can report back on what's going on with my content. Another type of asset might be a title asset. So obviously this is a publishing case, so we can see we've got Cosmopolitan, Harper's Bazaar, and Elle again. So that's just a quick view on this particular planning user's homepage, what she wants to see instantly. And just a quick point here, these widgets, we could have multiple assets inside here, but you can have scrollable. So you don't have to go to a different window, you can just scroll inside the widget if there are multiple assets assigned. So let's have a look at the other different types of assets that we can have here. We've just introduced this. This is a goal asset. Now, of course, everyone has goals in your companies. It might be to make more revenue, it might be to increase the outputs, it might be to get more customers, but these goals can also be tracked inside Sencha because they are assets, and they can be related to departments, to companies, to individuals, and so on. It's just a way to visualize what's going on kind of from a business perspective. Moving on to the community tab, we have, as part of this presentation, a website. So we publish some of our content, some of our articles online in our Sencha online channel. And we can see here, because we have different users who log in, interact, like things, buy products, and so on, we can see what the most favorite articles are. Now, because we have that kind of visualization of what's going on with our articles in that online channel, we can then, of course, write to fit. So we could say, you know, this is a really popular article. Let's write more of that for next week or for the next issue or whatever. I can make decisions based on these. Of course, with likes, you always have dislikes, so we can see what's also unpopular. And you can get feedback from the website. This is just a very simple Twitter feed that's just showing the latest tweets going through Cosmopolitan. And over on the right, all the people that connect with us, all our employees, all our customers, all the people who log into the website are all people. They're all assets inside Sencha. And then we can see, of course, who's the most, who's the most active on the website, or the most active following, liking, buying, and so on. So again, just feedback from the information, and always this option to refresh the details from the website itself. And we'll get onto that in a little bit later when we go into social media. So talking of people, of course, we have people assets, but we have different kinds of people assets. So we could have, for example, an employee. Now this employee, Thomas here, we have certain information about him, of course, but we also have relationships between him and other asset types inside censhare. So for example, Thomas is employed at this company. He has different address information, but he's also in a certain target group. Maybe he belongs to a certain department. Maybe as we move through, we can see, does he have contracts? All of the content that is surrounding your business can be inside Sencha and can be connected with these semantic relationships. So we can see his goals here. We can see what we charge for him, when he's available, and what contracts he's signed. So just a little overview of how an employee can look, for example. Now, as far as Cosmopolitan goes, of course, they do a lot of gossip information. They've got celebrities that they write up about and follow them and do blogs and what have you. So we have a different type of asset here. That's a person celebrity asset. So this celebrity can have, for example, social media information. And the metadata that we see about this asset is completely flexible. You can add as much metadata as you like. Sencha comes with a standard set, but I can guarantee you, hand on my heart, no other customers have exactly the same metadata as each other. So everyone has their own unique set. So I can see all the information about her. I maybe have some different targeting information about her. Maybe she's, what have you. We can get all the kind of metadata and information about a celebrity. The same thing applies to influencers, specifically for this particular case of a print publishing scenario. So we have different types of people that can be related in different ways and then can be acted on in different ways. And again, of course, designers, Cosmopolitan, that's quite important. So I can see the designers, I can see what relationships they have and so on. But the most important person that we have inside our systems are our customers. So here we have the kind of the customers who interact with us, who log into our website. Maybe they're subscribers, maybe they're in some way they're interacting with us through the censhare platform. So here we have a customer, Jane Doe. We're not very descriptive on our names, and I apologize for that. But here we have information on Jane Doe. Of course, we know where she lives. We can also have target groups. So this person, this customer, can be grouped into different target groups for marketing purposes later on. Now, specifically talking about targeting, we can get a feed maybe through from a CRM system. Maybe we can get some analytics through from the website. We can see here, you can tell that she's not over 60 years old, but she could be. We know where she lives. We know what kind of education she's had. We know what target group she's in. We can also see, because of those relationships and the interaction with the website, in this example, what products she's bought. So that's a very useful piece of information. And we can see here different statistics from the online channel, where she's been, what she's been looking at, what she's been searching for. So again, another type of asset, but with another whole new set of metadata. If we go down a little bit further, we can see the different target groups. So if I open the female multi-person households target group, I will be able to see all the people that are assigned to that. So I have a lot of customers assigned to that. And I can see statistics on it. I can see what it's related to, and so on. It's just the concept of having any kind of content inside Sencha as assets. Now to the left here, this is quite a cool one. This is showing me geolocation information about the assets I have inside Sencha. Now this could be address information in the example of this person here. So Timo Nussler, we know where he lives because we have his address. We have geolocations about him. But that could also apply to other assets. If you think about products, for example, I've got a product, it's going through the packaging phase. Where is that product physically? Which office is it in? Or I'm taking a photograph of Yellowstone National Park. I can put those coordinates in for that image asset. So I have the whole control over where assets are location-wise. So that's pretty cool. Lots of information in here. We also have, because we have these connections between our employees, people who are using our system and creating content, and the tasks and the stuff that they need to do, we can also have resource management. So this is the resource management plan for the marketing campaign team. We can see we have, for example, this employee, Anna. She has, it looks like she's got not an awful lot to do at the moment, but I can see the different tasks that have been assigned to her with the different time slots, start and end dates. And I can also see when she's overworked. So 32 hours, or 38 hours even, I don't think she's going to fill that in a day. I can guarantee she's not going to fill that in a day. But it gives me more visualization of what's happening inside my company, who's doing what, who's on vacation, who needs, and so on. So that's just an idea for resource planning. Let's take it another step further, and another different type of asset, products, of course. We saw very quickly before that we had the Jane Doe had actually bought certain products. So here we have just product assets inside Sencha. And if I take a product asset, for example, this, I think it's a moisturizer foundation, there you go. This is a product asset. We have all the product information that we need here. So Sencha can also be used as a PIM in this case. And I can see from this particular product that I've got similar relations. You know, when you go onto Amazon and you buy a certain type of book, it then says, oh, you might be interested in these kind of books as well because they're related. So here we can see what's similar to this foundation product. We can also see if it has product item references. We can see if it's got any awards. We can see maybe some information from your ERP system, maybe the pricing information and so on. And you can go even further from that. So, of course, we know the manufacturer, that's a relationship again, but maybe it's been mentioned in certain web pages. You know, if I want to go to a web page asset, I can store them inside censhare and I can see what that web page looks like and how this particular product has been mentioned. So again, it's a total 360 view of all your information. I can see if there's any tests made and so on. So just an idea of how we can handle the difference between issues or pages or layouts and products and people and so on. So we can also see, of course, stats. So I've got a product stock status here. So I'm seeing what kind of stock I've got, in which kind of department or which kind of type of product I've got, and whether they've been purchased, stored, or available. So if I can click on any of these, for example, I can switch those off. It all depends on how you want to visualize it, and reporting on the assets that are inside Sencha. And again, lots of different types of products types. So that's a whole set of different types of assets. I want to show you some layouts now. So if you print people, obviously you all know what an InDesign layout is. These are layout assets. And these are all the layout assets for my current issue of Cosmopolitan. But what I can do over here on the right-hand side, this is a whole long list, and I can scroll down and scroll down and scroll down. But what I'd like to see is those different layouts, but split out by workflow. You know, where are they in the workflow? So here what I can do on the right-hand side is see all the created assets, which layouts are in the created state, which are in progress, which are for approval, which are approved, and so on. And if you just keep your eye on these few here, we'll go through those in the presentation and actually add content to those. So it's just another way to visualize print layouts, for example. And again, remaining on that print subject, here we have our different issues. So these are the different flat plans or layout placements that we have for the magazines. And again, what's been created, what's in progress, and so on. So from the print perspective, of course, that's one way of outputting your content. We've already spoken about maybe through the website, through the online channel. And what I can do is I can visualize within the HTML5 client what products are going to look like on the website. This is our Sencha online channel, and we'll go into that in a little bit more detail later on. But here I can see those individual products, for example, that foundation, which in this instance has a movie, it's got pricing, it's got different pieces or different types of that foundation, different colorways maybe. It's got all sorts of information. It's got similar products. Remember, we had that relationship between the foundation and the other products. Here we're actually visualizing that similar relationship. So it's just a way to actually see on the website, visualizing what those products are going to look like. And the same also applies with our text and images and videos, for example. So we do have, of course, all you're seeing on here, on this web page, is actually assets inside Sencha. So we will show you later on this story here about Millie Macintosh. And these are all assets just displayed in an HTML format on our online channel. So that's kind of, you know, obviously this planning user doesn't spend all her day just clicking through her different tabs. She does actually have work to do. So let's have a quick look at this subject that we have for Fashion Week. So this is an asset, and we can see here that we've got preview of this, whatever it is, in this case a subject, some different information, we've got some research, and we can create relationships between other assets very simply just by clicking on the plus sign. I can select an article, and that's now related to this subject. I can do research, for example, so maybe I want to have a look at video. Everywhere I go inside Sencha, I can select different things. Let's take that. That asset is now going to be connected with a different type of relationship, with a research relationship. And over on the left-hand side here, I can actually, oopsie, start typing this. I can actually just type straight into the thing and say, check the articles for content. All right, so again, I'm adding metadata, I'm adding relationships very, very easily through this particular HTML5 client for this particular user. So she's kind of done her work on that one. Let's have a look at the marketing plan. Now, if you think about this concept of everything as an asset and everything can be related, it's very easy then to make plans or campaigns or however you want to term them. But this is in this example, it's a marketing plan for 2018, and it's for the publication, Sensation or Cosmopolitan as we see it. And some of the things we can see here are connections to other types of assets. So we have a budget option here because obviously You know, we've got to get the budget from somewhere, and we have different budget receivers and so on. So we can handle the different types of pricing, costs, etc., for that particular marketing plan. We can also define, for example, what target groups are going to be part of this marketing plan, which sales regions there are, and it's very easy to add sales regions. Let's add, just because, there we go. So just added a new sales region there. You can add multiples, you can drag and drop and create new assets through this interface. If I go to my budget tab, just have a look how those budgets hang out, we can see that Cosmopolitan actually, for the issues campaign, has actually spent 17.5 grand. They've got 62.5 left to spend because they had 80,000 in their budget for that. So we can very quickly see what's going on with the costs of our different pieces of content. So a marketing plan obviously is made up of different sections. It's kind of yeah, it's like a project plan, of course, exactly the same. So our plan here for Cosmopolitan, and we have different ones for Elle and Harper's Bazaar, we have different campaigns or different tactics that we want to do, and then different campaigns inside those tactics. So for the issues, we have the different issues. For example, we have Cosmopolitan February 2018, and I have different tasks assigned. Just in this Gantt chart view, I can see what tasks are where, and I can define which task goes to which person. So a task asset here, I can assign it to a certain person. I can assign the different times, when it's supposed to end, who it's been assigned to. So let's say, add it to that guy. It's going to take 8 hours, and so on and so forth. So I can define all the task information there. I can also add any comments. Please do this ASAP. Perfect. So that's how you would handle task management. And then this is just the visualization of the relationships between the different tasks, the successors and predecessors, and how they're connected together. Okay? And that can apply to anything. It doesn't have to be a marketing plan, could be a project plan, could be an issue plan, what have you. Right? So that's just an example of how a planning user may interact with the different types of assets and the different functionality that we have inside the censhare 5 client. So what I actually want to do, oh, sorry, I've just missed a spot there. I actually want to go into that marketing plan because I want to send a task to somebody else. I've actually got some work for someone else to do. So I'm going to go into that Cosmopolitan 2018 February issue, and I can see here what it looks like, the status and so on. But I do have some of those empty pages. Remember those empty pages from before? I want to take this particular asset, this layout that is empty, you know, there's not much on it. I can preview it, of course, but there's not much on it. What I actually want to do is send this layout to a certain user in our system, a certain person, the designer maybe, to actually do the stuff, place the images, place the text. So I'm going to create a task on the fly here. Please add content. It's a very general thing. I'm going to assign it to that chat, that creation chat. I'm going to give them a deadline. Let's see, well, what day is it today? Let's do it for them. There we go. And what I want to do here is actually assign to this task an article that I want to be placed on this layout. So as I'm creating these, I can actually attach other assets to these tasks. And I want to add that Millie article that we saw earlier. So undercover with Millie, let's find it. Oops, sorry, no, I'm typing in the wrong stuff now. So I can select the relevant article here, for example, or any other pictures or any other kind of information that I want to do. There's the article, that's the one I wanted to add. And add that to the task. So when I save this, this will now be sent on to the creation person for them to actually add the content and create the content accordingly. Okay, does that make sense? All sounds good so far. One thing I should say about every kind of asset that you have inside censhare, whatever it is, you have the ability to see what's happened to that asset. So in the example of a layout or whatever, we can see when it was created. We can see what it looked like when it was created. And if you have the permissions, you can go back to that version. So we can see here, for example, the workflow has changed. We can see that the preview has changed. Someone's changed the layout. And you can track your entire assets running through the system. You can also communicate on assets. And again, this is something that is general for any asset type, but I will show you in specifics, images and videos later on. So I can communicate as part of a team, please check the spelling, for example, and post these messages as part, a connection, a relationship between these different assets and the layout. So you can collaborate very easily across different parts of your company. So that's kind of how I would work inside censhare as a planning user. What I'm going to do now is log out. And what I want to do is log in as a different person. Now I'm going to log in as a designer, a creative person. Again, login and password could be attached to your LDAP or Active Directory. And the first thing that I can see when I log in as this user is that I've got different stuff. I can see different things, different widgets on my home page. So for example, I have my tasks, I have issues, I have subjects, I have my last edited, and I have lots of information down the left-hand side as well. And inside Sencha, just a quick thing, because you've been seeing all sorts of kinds of assets in here. When I do a search for assets anywhere inside censhare, the first thing it offers me is some options. So am I looking for the name? Am I looking for content? Am I looking for keywords? When I actually find what I'm looking for, I can view them in different ways. So I can view it in a gallery view, for example, a little bit like a Adobe Bridge or what have you. I can actually filter those different results. I can filter on asset type, the workflows maybe, and what type of file it is. So that standard functionality is out of the box censhare. That's what we do. So let's go back here now. So I've got all my different stuff. I've got some wizards down here, so I can do social media posts. I can maybe create some print documents. I can see my favorites and so on. So this is just a general view of how this creation user would work. Of course, along the top, he's got the same as before. So I do have work to do because the last person sent me some. And here is that layout. Okay. Now, inside Sencha, we can see again that this has been planned for an issue. We can see the preview of the layout. We can see any other information maybe further down. We can look at the versions and so on. But inside Sencha HTML5 client, we have different editors that allow you to edit content. Now, obviously, one of those is this layout editor. And what this gives me the ability to do is to actually place assets onto predefined InDesign layouts, if you like, with certain frames and certain rules. Now, we have this undercover with Millie article that we want to do. So let's just have a quick look at what that looks like, what the context of an article is. This is an XML asset, basically, and it contains pieces of text, some pictures, maybe some target group information. It's got a relationship to an author. We can see where it's been used, maybe keywords and so on. But what I can do in here, if I look, this particular issue of Cosmopolitan or this particular Cosmopolitan brand is actually multi-language, so it goes across 2 languages. In this case, it's English and German. And what censhare allows you to do is actually have translation as part of the tool. And you can see that inside the HTML5 client. So first of all, I can see my preview. Yes, I can see it's in German. I can see it's the main content of that article. But I could either just do a straight, typing the German in here, but I'm not very good at German, so I'm not going to do that. Or I can actually use the translation tool, which allows me to see side by side with perhaps the English version. So this is actually the latest version of the English text that goes side by side with this. So I can translate next to the English content. So undercover mit, that's wrong, mit Millie, for example. Okay, so that's just how you could use translation, for example, for multi-language content. So let's get back to our layout. And we want to place this article. So let's drag and drop it onto our template. Using InDesign Server, we can now update what this preview will look like of this layout. So exactly how it would look on an InDesign page as if you'd opened it in InDesign yourself. So this gives you the ability to actually make content choices for designs that have already been done by your designers. It kind of takes the necessity of having InDesign on your desktop. I've been into companies where there are hundreds of InDesign licenses just because somebody wants to change the text. So this is what it looks like ultimately. This is how it's going to see. We've got the text flow, we've got different images that are popping into the right places. We've got all sorts of rules that are defining what this page is going to look like with that article on it. And I can, at any time, if I have the privilege, create a PDF of that. So that will generate on the InDesign render server and actually bring back the high-res PDF of what this page is going to look like. There we go. So we can see it's got single pages, high-res, all of the images there. And then I can do with this what I want. Maybe I send this for approval to a client. Maybe I just print it out, what have you. Okay. So that's one way that you can handle layouts and articles inside censhare. So let's go back home now. Not literally, of course, but we have another layout here. This is another empty set of pages. Me as a designer, I've got to do stuff with this, of course. I can see where it's planned for. I can go into my layout editor this time, and we've actually got a couple of types of assets here. We've got article assets, so we've seen how an article works, but we've also got product assets. So I'm just going to place my article here, because having products available online, having products available in print, it's your omni-channel outputs, if you like. So let's just do a quick refresh of what this is going to look like on the InDesign layout, and then we'll go to the product page. You know how Cosmopolitan works, or if you don't, go pick up a copy. It's got a mixture of editorial, it's got a mixture of products, advice, and all of that kind of thing. And here we have some different frame definitions, because we have different products that we want to place on this page. So I'm going to take my Charles Worthington Volume and Bounce Express Blower, my Finishing Hairspray, my Perfection Smoothing, they do think of some good names, and my Sublime Sleek Creation Hairspray. So I've placed these products onto an InDesign layout, and this layout has certain information in the frames. So I maybe want picture here, I maybe want information here, maybe want metadata here, and so on. And when I run the refresh on the InDesign server to see how that's going to look in real life, it will then show me how that's going to view. Let me just zoom this up a little bit so you can see. So here we've got, let's say it's a main image, we've got some text, we've got a product picture, and we've got some text on the side there. Let's make that a little bit larger and see where. Okay, so I've got certain product information coming in on the side as well. So I've defined that I can have XML metadata actually on the InDesign layout. And again, the same thing applies to the PDFs. I can just click on the PDF button and it will go off and it will generate the PDFs for me. So I can then send it out or work along the workflow and send it on to approval and so on. It will come up in just a second. The renderer is running locally on my machine. In fact, Sencha is running locally on my machine, but I would never recommend you do that, certainly not for production. Sencha can run either on site, it can run in the cloud, and combinations of those two. That's probably taking too long. We'll come back to that one later. Oopsie, beg pardon, that's probably why. Oh, because I've blocked things. There we go. So that's how we do layout editing. Let's go back to our home page now as this designer. We do have another thing to look at here. Let's have a look. We've got more pages, but this time, I don't know if any of you are particularly in the publishing area, but of course I have my editor and I have my articles, but maybe I want different types of text. Maybe I want InCopy Text. Maybe I want to look for stuff that's going to go on my page. Maybe I want to look for certain images. So if I look for Millie, for example, this will find all the Millie content, and maybe I want to add this article instead. So you're fully interactive with the different parts of the Censhare editor. So let's have a quick look now. We are going to go to number 64. Where are we? There we go, 64. This is another layout. Here we have InCopy Text. So any of you who know how InDesign works, you can have native text, which can only be used on InDesign pages and then has to be converted to go online, or you can use XML text, which we've shown you before. But here we have different InCopy text. So we have different assets that have different parts of the text in. And what we can do here is just drag and drop certain elements onto an InDesign page. And when we do the refresh, it will bring the text in from that specific piece of copy, which means that your layouts or your outputs, doesn't have to be print, can be split up into the different granular parts, the text, the pictures, the videos, and the workflow can go along separately for each of those different types of assets until the job is complete. So there we can see we've got it there. So for those of you who are interested in InCopy, we can actually edit InCopy assets inside Sencha as well. We have an editor. So we can actually see how things look. We can add comments in here. We have paragraph styles, character styles, and so on. So that's kind of covered all the different ways of doing that. Let's have a look. I'm going to go back here to that page and go back to my home screen. I want to open this one now, another layout that I've got here. We have customers, certainly in the publishing, but it also applies to all kinds of customers and all kinds of markets. The ability to order things. So, how I can... maybe I want 500 words. Maybe I want somebody to give me a product image. Maybe I want somebody to write some romance copy, for example, for products. So the ability to have orders is something that we can have inside the Sencha system. So I've got this page. Maybe I want to have a high-res image of, I don't know, Rihanna. It's going to be an image order. And I'm going to create that order, which it will do. And then I can go in there and I can send it to someone. I can assign it to somebody. I can tell them, here are my notes. Please get a high-res shot. I want it in CMYK, I want it 300 DPI, because that's just how I am. So I can add these orders and push them through a separate workflow, for example. So these could go out to my contributors, if you like, who's going to write this order, who's going to get this picture, and so on. So it's just a cool way of actually managing workflows external to Sencha, if you like. So let's go back home again. Lots of interesting stuff here. We did see that article Undercover with Millie, and we saw how it would look when we placed it onto a print layout. But how is this going to look when we print it onto online channel, for example? So if I click, this is the article now. Again, we've seen the text, we've seen the different elements of this article. I can actually click on a URL that takes me to what that article is going to look like on my online channel, in my website. And what I can also see here is other information that was stored about that asset. So if I just quickly go back, look at target groups here. We have different target groups for, and I'm just trying to find them here. These are different target groups we have for that particular article, and I can see them in the website, in the online channel, these relationships. I can also see the relationships to the author, perhaps, maybe some metadata, and I can interact as a user. I can actually make comments here. I can view through the slides. Maybe I want to have a look at this. Maybe I want to have a look at the text. Maybe I want to just like it. So I can just say, yep, I like this, or I can make a post, love it. and post that. So that the users are now interacting with the content that I have, and in actual fact, as part of this, they're actually creating assets in the back end. So I can now track that there is a message from Jane Doe saying love it related to this particular article. We can also watch movies in here. Gosh, that's very loud. We can watch movies in here, whatever you want to do. Okay, so that's just how you would see on a print and then on an online channel. So let me just go back there quickly. I want to log out of this. I'm actually logged in at the moment. I shouldn't have been, but never mind. And this is my sensation page. Okay, and if we have a look at how the page is defined, we've got latest articles, we've got news, we've got the main story at the top. If I log in as John Doe, because he is a user here, not really, what I'm now going to get is actually recommended articles. So by logging in as a censhare online channel user, if you like, as a customer of ours, we can actually recommend things because he belongs to a certain target group, just like these articles do. So we can target information to him. So if I log out as John, I just want to make sure it says why I'm still single there. And I'm going to log in as Jane, just to show you how that works. Now let's have a look at her recommended articles. She's obviously not single, so she doesn't need to see that recommended article. Okay, so it's just another way how you can handle targeted content to specific users of your websites or what have you. So let's go back here. We saw that Jane Doe, who we logged in as, we saw the targeting. We can also output content in other ways. So we've seen print, we've seen online. Let's have a look now at maybe newsletters, email newsletters. So here's my Jane Doe. We know that she's in that particular target group. I actually do have a newsletter here. So I'm going to open this newsletter. It's got various pieces of information, it's got target groups, it's got the content, it's got the products, and so on. But from the HTML5 client, I have the ability to actually create this newsletter as part of my workflow. And if I just go to my mailbox here, I'll just do a quick refresh, just so there's nothing up my sleeves, nothing already sent. What I can do from this position is actually say, yeah, I have the correct permissions to do this, so I'm going to create a newsletter to my certain target groups. So this is going to be Wednesday's newsletter. I wish I could think of something more creative, but there we go. It's going to be a standard newsletter, as far as I'm concerned. That's what we've got, and we're going to send it out. So I've created this newsletter, I've made all the relationships to all the other types of content, and now I've set the server action running so that it sends this whole newsletter out to my certain target groups here. So let's have a look, let's do a refresh now. It takes a couple of seconds to come through. Oh, there it is. So this is my newsletter. This is the story about Millie. This is the other articles that we had available in the online channel and available for print. And these are different products. Recommended articles, for example. So it's just another way of getting your content out to your end customers, but in a targeted way. Not just sending them, you know, everything that they've got or everything that you've got, but being specific about what you're sending them, engaging them and making them relevant to your products. So we've had a look at that. Let's go back home here and have a look at some of the other options we have for outputting. Social media. Awesome. We can actually output to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter by default. Any other ones, it's just a configuration perspective. So let's say we want to output to Facebook. Let's go through this wizard, and it's taking me through each individual step here about how to create this post. And I'll pick a nice picture. There's a picture of Vegas. Let's create some content. Win a weekend in Vegas. Okay. What privacy settings do I want? I want to have, I want everyone to see it. It's competition. This is what my Facebook post is going to look like, and then I can track it from there. So as far as tracking is concerned, let's go and have a look here at my favorites. I've got a Facebook post already here. See. So I can see this Facebook post. I can see when it was posted. I can see who created it. I can see the links. But I also get feedback information from Facebook. So I can actually pull information in from Facebook on this particular post and see how many times it's been liked, commented, or shared. And this is coming into Sencha as metadata. So then, of course, you can do searches on show me the, I don't know, the top 50 Facebook posts of this week. And then again, start targeting your content out to those different customers. Right? So I'll show you another wizard while we're here. We're not going to do any Harry Potter, but I'll show you how we can create print documents from this HTML5 client, from a web front end. So here we have a couple of templates already defined. We have a business card and we have a product sheet. Now, I would like to create a product sheet for that special foundation that we saw earlier on. So I'm just going to click on the product sheet. I want to select a template. Let's say I want a English vertical. Let's select that template. And it's just an InDesign template. And now I want to select the product. So there's the product. And let's see how this is going to look on my print output, for example. So what it's doing now is talking to the InDesign renderer server and defining those different points or frames that are going to be filled in by product information. So this could be, I don't know, sell sheets maybe, or point of sale, or whatever kind of information you want. It can be very easily created in InDesign as templates and then uploaded to censhare for your end customers to actually use. So if we kind of go through this a little bit more, it's going to take us to the end. We can assign some metadata to this. We'll say Mac Foundation sell sheet. Done. Okay, so that's how you would create, for example, print documents. I want to show you very quickly how we work with other types of assets. So we've seen articles, we've seen issues, we've seen text, we've seen what have you. Let's have a look at some other different types of assets. So I'm going to go to my favorites here. Inside the HTML5 client, you have the ability to create favorites. You also have a pinboard option here where you can add certain assets if you're working on certain selections of content, for example. So we saw our Jane Doe, we saw all the metadata that she had in there, but perhaps other types of assets could be audio.
One of the things I loved about graphics,
you know, radio advertising is very strong, so that would be a good thing to have as an asset type inside censhare. We can also have 3D. So we cover X3 DOM, a couple of other ones, and I can't remember them off the top of my head, but this is a 3D image. It's a package of the different renders required for this, saved into censhare as a 3D model, and you could use this for your products, for example, or what have you. We've seen the Facebook post. You can also have Twitter posts. You know, this is a Twitter post. It's just a selection of text that we've output to Twitter through our social media wizard, and we can see what information has come back from Twitter. YouTube, of course, is another social media channel. Well, of course. This is an example of, yeah, lots of messages there, a YouTube video. And in fact, if you watch very carefully, I was going to play the music first. That's a shame. I was in that picture. But again, I can see feedback from YouTube. I can see the URLs and the links and all sorts of information like that. We've seen the issue. So we looked at what an issue looked like. But you know what? Let's have a look at how that's going to look like actually in print. Let's see what it's going to flip through. This could be a catalog. It could be your coupons. It could be whatever. But this is how the visual representation of that print output is going to look. Let's have a look at some other types here. Images. That's true, I never showed you that. This is an image asset. Now, when you add images into censhare, if you have IPTC, that kind of file information that you have on the pictures, if you have that in there, censhare will automatically import it and assign it to metadata. So here I can see the information on the IPTC, maybe copyright, maybe, could be even geographical location, could be information about where this picture was taken. And I can have other metadata. So here I've got copyrights, for example, you know, the amount of users, when it was ordered by, who it was ordered by. I've got transformation variants. Now, I have this picture, but it's a beautiful picture and it would be lovely in print, but maybe it wouldn't look so good on a mobile app. Maybe I want to have another kind of variant of that picture that can be used on mobile. So you can have these image variants. I can see where this picture has been used. This is a very useful if you want to trace where things are. So this picture has actually been used in Layout, and it's in 2 text assets. Now, one of the things about images that are particularly special inside censhare is the ability to communicate on areas of an image. So it's all very well collaborating on a picture, but if you've got a specific problem like maybe there, you want to actually collaborate on that area. So inside censhare, what you can do is you can create markers, and I'm just going to get that. I think it's a ring. I'm going to stick a color on it, and I'm going to save that marker, and I'm going to comment and collaborate on that particular area. Please remove the ring, because of course photographers are very clever. So now I can actually collaborate on that certain point, that specific part of the picture. That's one of the special things with images. Let's have a look. What else do we have in here? We've got articles. We've seen articles, videos. That's another specific area where censhare is very good in the collaboration perspective. So again, we have video here, but we also have some automatic file conversions for that video. So when the video is ingested or when the video reaches a certain workflow step, we can actually create the different resolution versions of that video automatically inside censhare. We can preview the videos like that. Turn the volume back up now. And when it comes to communication, this is also, you want to collaborate on certain areas of a video. It's a very specific, I'm not quite sure, there we go. It's a very specific thing to collaborate on. So you can also create markers inside here. So I want to create a new marker, and I'm going to have it for a certain section of time. And maybe the sound is a bit bad there, so I want somebody to check the audio. I can give it a color, and then I can communicate on that particular space of time. Please clean up audio. And let's select that marker and post it. So now people will know that there is comments about particular sections of that video. So let's go back to our favorites. Let's have a look. We've had subjects, you've seen that. We've had marketing plans, you've seen that. But what we haven't seen is how these assets interact with each other, how they're related to each other. So one of the methods that we can use for seeing how assets are related is the ability to view them in a relationship view. So what it's going to first of all say is that my space is too small. I'm working on a laptop. I don't have a big screen. But what I can do is zoom down my browser. So this is showing me how this Jane Doe asset is related to all the other assets inside Sencha. So I can see that it's assigned, she's got some favorites, she's bought certain products, she's got some followers, she likes certain articles. And the further I zoom down, the more I will see that. Now it doesn't just stop there, of course, because I can drill down here. So I can say, you know what, show me that, drill down to that person that I'm following. Oh, she's following Elton John, that's cool. Oh, and she's a celebrity for Fashion Week. Let's go and have a look at what Fashion Week, how that's related to other assets. So it's a very powerful way to actually visualize that semantic relationship between networks that gives you that relevance so you can target information to your customers rather than just sending them lots and lots of stuff that they never read. So this is how it would look like on our web client, and this is on a web browser. And you can also see how it would look perhaps on an app or a phone because it's just an HTML5 browser. So of course I can log in to the censhare client with exactly the same information as I had before. So maybe I'm out on a shoot, and if I can see it properly, there we go. My username and password are the same, and now I can see my Sencha client. So I don't have to be online on the web. I can just use it on my phone or what have you. And I get exactly the same functionality. I could also have a look at my websites. So the products that we had, remember we had that Mac product, the foundation, that's what it's called. I can see them online as well. I can see them on my tablet too, because it's an HTML5 client. And I can click through and see the different pieces of information, the different metadata and relationships to that content. Let's go home again, and let's have a look at our news portal. So here's our news portal, all the different stories, and it's completely, and there's the word, and I forget it every time, responsive, there we go. So I can just rotate this, and I get the revamped page that fits in the size. So that's kind of how we can do lots of different things. It was very quick, and good job for listening. But the concept behind it all is that every piece of content can be an asset. Everything that can be related to those can also be assets, of course. And it doesn't matter where you want to output them to. You can output them to print if you want. You can output it to online if you want. You can do mobile. You can do social media. You can do newsletters, whatever. It doesn't really matter. So long as your content is in one place and you have the ability to create that contextual relevance, you'll be laughing.